Just on silent.
Okay, now it's on.
And if I don't mention something that you want to talk about, just, feel free
Okay.
to insert it.
I thought we would talk about the conference, of course.
Yes.
And some of the topics of the conference which could lead us into
Stand
discussions.
by
And
Okay.
the volunteer, how
Yes.
that operates.
in 12
Do you want me to lead
seconds.
with that?
No, whatever. I'll follow you. I'm good.
Hello and welcome to Conversations with Melanie Mack. I'm your host, and I am so thrilled that it is midweek and it's a hot one today. It's a little blistering hot. I'm just returning from Vermont where it was brisk but beautiful. I'm so excited to be in studio today with a dear friend, colleague. She's just, again, one of those multi-hyphenated women that can do it all. She's such a brilliant woman, giving, she's a connector, and again, just extraordinary. I'd like you to welcome my friend, Eleanor Beasley.
Thank you, Melanie.
How are you, Eleanor?
I am doing wonderful, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you for
I'm
having
excited
me
to
in
have
as a
you.
guest.
Of course, of course. I want to share with the audience that years ago, when I started doing my podcast, Eleanor was one of she was one of the first guests that I had on, and we had such a great conversation, and we've always said that we would circle back and do this. We've done other things outside of radio, but it's so great to have you in studio. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about this. One, I want to talk about your career because you've had a fascinating career with just with the financial institutions and banking. Tell us a little bit about that
Okay.
and what that experience was like for you.
Okay. It was an interesting journey. I like to call it a journey because I started in banking while in college, attending Cal State Northridge,
Yes.
and started as a teller. And I was just taking this job to work my way through college because I needed some supplemental income. And got into banking and fell in love with banking. What I found in banking was it was so diverse. There were so many different directions you could go into.
Yes.
I started as a teller, and then I went over to the credit side of the bank, which we used to refer to as the carpeted side, and that was the more
Is that the
prestigious
velvet
side.
rope?
Yes, that was the velvet rope, and they literally did have ropes in the branch at that time.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes,
I'm dating myself, but
there
I
were
remember that.
ropes in the branch. So yes, to go over to the carpeted side meant you kind of had, progressed, advanced in banking. And I went over at the lowest rung. I was a credit checker, and you'll find this interesting. Back in the day, I sat on the phone all day long and wrote down people's credit history.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, this
Wait,
was
writing it down
manually writing it on a red, white, and blue pad of paper, and it had to be on the red, white, and blue pad for it to be a credit check. And that's what I did day in and day out, and I did that for a year or so.
Okay.
And then I became pregnant with my child and decided I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And
what a shift.
Girl, that lasted for about 6 months before I was losing my mind.
Yes.
And decided to go back into the workforce. And at that time, I made an agreement with myself. If I was going back into work, I wasn't just going to have a job, I would have a career. And that was a very conscious decision. Yes, very conscious decision. And I researched what type of training programs that the bank offered and found one. And I applied and I was accepted and went through that training program. And my career took off from there. I was out in Northridge. I think it's interesting to share this, and especially in the time we find ourselves in again. I was working in Northridge, and one of the few Black professionals in banking, first of
Of
all,
course.
in Northridge.
Yes.
Imagine that. And after I went through the training program, that made me one of the senior people in the branch.
Okay.
So when clients came in and wanted to escalate situations, they could find themselves speaking to this Black woman. And at the time, I said I had three strikes against me. I was young, I was Black, and I was a woman. And every day I had to deal with one of those realities.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my start in
How
banking.
how did you? I mean, that has to be a great training ground, though. How did you navigate those waters with
It was.
having to just the complexity of who we are,
Hmm.
when we enter the workplace? How were you navigating the day to day?
Well, a couple of things. I had a great boss, and she was before her time because she was one of those progressive women who understood she had to play the boys' game because
Okay.
it was the boys' game. But she was the woman to do it. And she had this reputation of just being really hard. But she liked me and I loved her. So she took me under her wing and really did help me progress. And that's the other thing in corporate world. You need not just a mentor, you need a champion. You need somebody who is
Yes.
helping you and, promoting you and kind of knocking down those obstacles for you. But I find it interesting that again we are kind of back at this place where I dealt with this 30 years ago,
Wow.
and in society it looks like we didn't learn our lesson, so we get to do it again.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Talk about the importance. You mentioned having champions
Hmm.
to really knock down those doors, kick in the doors for you. How important is mentorship, and particularly mentorship among women?
I cannot stress enough how important it is to have a mentor. Now, interestingly enough, my I've had unofficial mentors in my career, like
Yes.
the lady I just spoke about.
Right.
There was no title there was no tag that says she's my mentor. But in hindsight, that's what she did for me. But
Okay.
to say that I went out and I made a conscious decision to find someone who would have that tag, who would have that title, who would work with me and be my formal professional
Yes.
mentor.
Yes.
It was a man. It was not a woman. It was a man. And the man was my boss's peer.
Ah.
And I
Okay.
went to him for help and like, help me. How am I supposed to function, in her world?
Yes.
Help me understand her because they knew each other and they had worked together for many, many years.
Okay.
And he said to me, "You need a mentor," because now this was several years into banking. I had
Okay.
gone through the training program. I had, gotten several promotions. So I think I was probably at the vice president level by now when I acquired a
You see, she
mentor.
just casually mentions that. I think I was a VP around
Yeah,
this
well, that
time.
wasn't the end. So,
I know.
yeah, but I was at the VP level when
Okay.
I actually got a mentor, and he wasn't my mentor very long because he felt that I did need a woman to
Ah.
mentor me, and so he found me a female that I didn't know. She didn't know
Okay.
me, but they knew each other, and he thought we would be a good fit. So he became my champion as opposed to my mentor.
What's the difference between a champion? How would you describe the difference between a champion and a mentor?
I think a mentor is more hands on and they work very, very closely with you in guiding you, providing you guidance, and kind of telling you how to deal with situations. A champion is someone that sees potential in you and want to help you succeed. They make sure you're aware of opportunities, connect you
Yes.
with those opportunities, that sort of thing. But helping me deal with the day to day, that wouldn't be a champion.
Okay. Okay. That's I think that's great for our listeners to understand the difference
Yeah.
with that. I think it's really interesting as well that your first official mentor, who was a man, saw fit to connect you with a woman, someone
Mhm.
that you didn't know. What was that transition like? Just the connecting with this unknown person. Was it a smooth
It
transition?
really was because we both had agreed to do it. She had stepped up to the plate and say, "I want to mentor someone." She was
Okay,
a senior vice president level, and she was a woman in corporate America that wanted to reach back and help other women come up. And
outstanding.
I had made a conscious decision. I need help. So I think those two things, and I think you both have to bring that to the table
Mm,
and be committed to it.
right.
Yes. So, and it worked well. We probably had our mentoring relationship for about 18 months, 2 years.
That's yeah, that's really significant.
Hmm.
How would you say that relationship helped to uh, would catapult be the right word, but how did that particular mentorship by a senior woman help to just push you to that next level in your career?
I'm not sure that it helped me move up. It helped me sustain where I was. I did
Ah,
not walk away because I probably would
okay,
have quit my job
okay,
had I not had some guidance in how to navigate my current position. And
yes,
so because I was able to navigate the current position, that probably did elevate me. But I cannot say I credit her with really helping me get to that
yes.
next level. I really credit her with helping me understand, become more of a professional,
Mm,
um, you know, in management, developing management skills and that sort of thing,
right.
which again does play into me moving up eventually.
Outstanding. I was thinking about, so often in I'm so glad that you raised this, because so often in the workplace, it can be very difficult to stay in not necessarily a position, but it may be a culture
Hmm.
of an organization, or the specific position that you are holding space for at that time, just to kind of really thrive in that. And I think I know I've seen in my career or with other women, it's sometimes it can be a difficult process, and other women tend to not reach out, because I
Hmm.
think it seems like so many are really busy holding on to their spot.
Hmm. Hmm.
Have you ever encountered anything like that?
I I have encountered it on both sides. Me personally, I've always challenged myself because I get bored pretty easy. I mean, once I conquer something, it's time to move to next. I
Yes.
must I must be challenged. I just have to be challenged. And interestingly, I can pretty much count on it. It takes about 18 months for me to. And
No grass growing under your
yes,
feet.
no grass growing under my feet. In my entire professional life, it's been about 18 months that I would do a certain thing, and I really get it. I'm expert in it now, and I can add that to my bailiwick. But now I
Right.
need to move on and do something else, um, which is what I've done throughout my career. So I'm not that person, but I have
No, you are. Let
noticed.
me make that clear. This woman here, Eleanor Beasley. One, you're such a connector and such a giver. You're not someone that holds your resources
Not at
close to the
all.
vest. I mean,
Mhm.
when you see someone, and if there's a connection that you can make, you've certainly done it for me. I've
Yes.
seen you do it for
Mhm.
other, men and women
Mhm.
alike. And I think that's just, it's such a rare thing. I mean, you're just a
Oh.
rare gem, Eleanor, because oftentimes women just don't reach out to do those things.
No, I think that's my calling, really. I am a connector. I am that core. I
Yes.
even in my family and my friendships, I've always kind of found myself in the middle and making sure that everybody was okay. You know. So
Wait, are you a middle child?
I am a middle
You
child.
are.
I am a
So you know how
middle
to
child.
negotiate the top to the bottom.
Yeah, manager all around. Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
yes,
my
yes.
my
So that.
mom my mom is a middle child, and I mean I'm the firstborn, and I'm
Mhm.
constantly I know my brother's listening. And by the way, shout out to my brother, my sponsor, Dare to Be Noticed Beauty Salon. But he's my younger brother, but we jokingly say that he's my older brother. Because he feels like he manages me.
Oh,
And I
okay.
don't know if I let him believe that, but I definitely have the older sibling,
Okay.
stereotype where I feel like I'm the boss of everything.
Oh.
But I've seen with my mom, both of my parents are middle children, and they are master negotiators. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a special trait for us middle people.
Yes.
So with the career and kind of staying and not holding on or not reaching back, I've seen both. There's people I've wanted to grab a hold of and encourage and come on now, you've been in this job for 5 years or you've
Right.
been sitting in this seat for 20 years, come on, what else are you going to do?
Mhm.
What else do you plan to do? And, as hard as it was for me, everybody's not like me. People want to sit in their seat for 20 years and they're happy there.
Yeah.
And Eleanor need to be okay with that. So, and that's a challenge for me because it's like, but what do you mean you don't want to do anything else? You've done this.
Right. And when you see so much talent in someone and you know that they can do more. But people get comfortable.
They do, and it's their right.
That's true.
It's their journey. And that was hard for me to accept that this truly is their journey. They get to decide. Just like I get to decide mine. They get to decide theirs.
Right.
Yeah. But, as a mentor, as a coach, as a connector, I'm always trying to pull. But,
oh, yes.
Yes, but I have to accept not everybody want to be pulled.
Very true. Very true. I don't understand that mentality, but it is true, and you're right. It's that individual's choice. Let's talk about board service. I know you and I have had conversations about how important it is to, as you're building your career, to look for different board opportunities that can expand your network and your bandwidth and open you up to different opportunities.
Yes. I've been so successful in this arena as well. Nonprofit boards is what we're talking about.
Yes.
I'm a giver, so it's just my nature to do that. But to give in a formal way, I have found nonprofit to be very fulfilling. And I've been doing nonprofit work, volunteering in the nonprofit world, probably coming up on 30 years. It's been a long time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been doing this for a long time. And it's so fulfilling. I get so much more than I give.
Yes.
But the tangible gifts that have come to me have been, a positive impact to my career. And I tell people and encourage professionals often. It's really important, I think, to do community service and get on a board, especially if you're growing in your career.
Okay.
It really does help you with leadership skills. Because on a board, nonprofit boards are non-paid boards,
right?
Unless they're really big, giant organizations. But for the most part, everybody at the table is volunteering.
Yes.
And I have actually, moved up to leadership roles. I'm the board chair at one organization right now, Crystal Stairs. Shout out to Crystal Stairs.
Shout out to Crystal Stairs.
Yes.
They do phenomenal work.
They do amazing work. We handle child care subsidy in the greater Los Angeles area. And we are also Head Start agent. We have Head Start locations in Compton. Which I'm so proud of. Yeah, we just started that about 6 years ago. But Crystal Stairs has been around for 35 years.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm the board chair there now. And I'm also on the board of the YWCA. So shout out to YWCA, Greater Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yes, I'm the past board chair at that organization. But I bring that up to say leadership skills, right? Because I have to lead a group of volunteers. which is very different.
Who are governing
Who's governing these
a company?
a company, a corporation,
Yes.
really, because both of these are very large corporations. Crystal Stairs budget, I think, is about 150 million now,
Yeah.
and YW, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but they're probably 50, 60 million.
Yeah, that's a huge brand.
It's
Both
huge.
of them
Yes,
are
huge,
incredible
huge.
brands.
So I get to lead these executives because they are executives in their own companies, right? And they're volunteering their time. And that's very different than managing someone you're paying,
Right.
right? So if you can manage
A volunteer?
volunteers, you're developing some leadership skills in that.
How do you look this like sidebar?
Okay.
How do you motivate a volunteer?
An
executive volunteer.
I find out, why are you here? What do you want from this experience? And I go about connecting them to what they came to get. And
Wonderful.
sometimes it is, they have skills in budgeting. And other times they may work in finance and budgets all day and they don't want to deal with that piece, or they want to deal with the HR piece. So I want to develop my skills and my knowledge in HR. So we get them on that committee as opposed to the finance committee. So, we don't just pigeonhole people. Even though they kept trying to do that to me because I was a banker, everybody wanted me on the finance committee. I was like, no, you really don't want me on the finance committee because I don't really do numbers, right? So I tell people, I'm people and process. That's what I do. I can do re-engineering. I can help you with policies and procedures, and I can help you with managing people. But numbers, that's not me. That's not what I did in banking. But that's how you motivate volunteers. You give them what they came for and understand what that is, and also not treat everybody the same because they're all there for different reasons.
Sure. How would you advise someone to go about just pursuing, looking for opportunities to serve on a board, and their necessary any necessary qualifications?
Okay. I say go get on a board like it's an easy thing to do. It is not a slam dunk. And you typically would work your way up to a board.
Okay.
So you really need to get involved with a nonprofit organization. And when I say get involved, that could be volunteering at one of their events, doing I hate to use the word grunt work, but doing the labor stuff, helping at registration or helping with them getting the marketing materials out, whatever skill you have, because bring that to the nonprofit table. Because if you're not giving it, donating it, volunteering it, that means they have to pay for it, which means they have less funding for their mission. Right? So we do add value. We bring great value when we volunteer.
Okay.
So, and whatever skill you have, a nonprofit needs it. Not only can they use it, they need it. So, that's a way to get in the door. They get to know you, you get to know them, you get to see how the management team works together. How do they treat their staff? Do you want to be a part of this? Because your name's going to be attached to this organization once you become a board member.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So you want to be real careful. You want to vet them as much as they're going to vet you.
And there's a fiscal responsibility as well.
Absolutely. Yes. It's governance, and that means something. You're making sure that your finances are in order, that they are funding their mission, and the money is being spent. So, yes, absolutely. Big responsibility. I do want to mention there's most nonprofits, if not all, do have officer and director liability insurance. So you really are not putting yourself out there to be sued. You could be sued, but there's typically insurance to cover that. Yeah. So I don't want people thinking that protection's not there. It is. So getting involved in the events, but also becoming a member of a committee, because not only are there board of directors, there are board committees, and non-board members can often serve on a committee. Again, you're bringing your talents to the table.
Yes.
One of the talents that I bring to nonprofit, I'm a great project manager. So that is something that I can do.
I know that.
Yes. And
That's one of many skills,
yes, I
Eleanor. But
love overseeing projects and making things happen. It's the process
yes.
person in me. That's know what you bring to the table and find an organization that you're passionate about, find a mission that you're passionate about. And how do you do that? Because people say, how do you find that? What makes you feel good? My mission is women and children, right? I want to
Yes.
see women and children thrive. And so I find organizations that's focused on that population.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That leads me to I want to talk about the Women's Career Conference
Okay.
coming up October 28th with the Bloom Again Foundation,
Mhm.
which I know you've been involved with them for many years. Board chair at one point, executive director at
Yeah,
another.
actually, I'm one of the founders.
And
I
okay,
have
this is why am
found.
I just now
I
finding
have
this out?
found Bloom Again Foundation. Bloom Again's been around probably about 9 years now.
Okay.
Dr. Lois Frankel, you would know her name. She's an
Yes.
author and a keynote speaker.
Incredible.
She wrote the
Incredible woman.
book Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. Most people
Yes.
know that book. The other thing is First Career. She also wrote a book, See Jane Lead, which I thought was a really great book. But she has other nice girls.
Title.
Nice girls don't get rich. Nice girls just don't get it. So,
Yes.
any Dr. Lois Frankel book would be a good thing for a professional to pick up. But Lois, how Bloom Again started. Lois is a breast cancer survivor, and this being breast health month,
Yes.
it's kind of
month of
appropriate we talk
October.
about this.
Absolutely.
Lois had breast cancer probably about 10 years ago. And as she was going through her treatment for recovery, she would literally be sitting next to a woman who, was a working poor woman, a
Right.
family living in poverty.
Right.
And she and Lois were getting the same treatment. Right. And Lois real knew, how bad I feel after treatment. And I get to go home and lay down and
Right.
relax and recoup for a couple of days. This woman sitting next to her getting the same treatment, she would have to go to work. Because if she didn't go to work, she would not be paid. And if she wasn't paid, it affected the household income, right? Because we're working poor, we're living in poverty.
How are we? That's a whole other topic. But how are we living in a world where we allow that to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are
another
living in
subject.
that world, but Lois decided to do something about it. And she promised herself, when I feel better, I'm going to do something about this.
Yes.
So she called me up and about 6 other of her professional allies and asked us to help her start this nonprofit. And what Bloom Again does, it helps working poor women when they've had a medical emergency. If their household income was impacted, it could be
Yes.
them or the husband or a child, but the household income was impacted because of a recent medical emergency.
Okay.
Bloom Again will step in and help them pay their rent. It's very seldom mortgage. It's typically
This
rent.
is what I love.
Yeah, and we will pay utility bills and car note, or give them, vouchers for transportation to and from treatment. And we do this by way of partnering with other nonprofits, so like hospitals and churches and other nonprofits in the community
Okay.
that already know that population. They already have a relationship with that person because Bloom Again has 0 staff.
How is that possible? Explain that with the work,
staff.
the amazing, the incredible work that
Yes.
you all do.
Mhm.
How is it possible to
Because
to make that kind of impact without a staff?
Because we partnered with other nonprofits. So they do the heavy lifting for us. They identify the women that are in need and they come to Bloom Again on behalf of the woman or the family and they request the funding. The other fabulous thing that sets Bloom Again apart is that a request is submitted by our partner in a portal.
Okay.
And an email goes to one person or two, and then that email is sent out to the board of directors for review, and the board votes on it via email. Within 48 hours, that person can have money. That's unheard of. So Bloom Again is rapid response.
Yes.
Rapid response. So we are helping
in the
people
truest sense.
in the truest sense. Yes. We've helped people turn their lights on during the Christmas holiday. We've helped people
What a
not get
beautiful thing to do.
evicted.
All right.
Yes, so I haven't looked at the numbers in a while because I'm not serving with Bloom again right now, other than promoting them. But last I looked, I think we had funded over $350,000 over the past 8 years or so.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's incredible with no
And it's
staff,
just
right?
right without any staff, and
Yeah.
it's I know that it's such a committed group of women, and I think it's just such an extraordinary thing to give a woman that is dealing with that's dealing with cancer, that's dealing with an illness, resources that just to give her peace of mind,
That's it.
to not have to worry about your rent or
Right.
car note or just like you said, turning the lights on and
Yes.
keeping the lights on,
Mhm.
those kinds of things.
We
I
had
think
one
it's really
lady
extraordinary.
a couple of years ago. She had brain cancer, and she ended up being evicted, and she had to move in with her mom, and she has a child. So she and her child was sharing one bedroom, right? While she's
Yes.
trying to heal. So the hospital came to Bloom again on her behalf and asked us to help her get into an apartment. The lady wrote us the
Yes.
kindest note. She said, "Thank you for giving me my door back."
Oh my goodness.
I
Eleanor,
mean,
don't make
things
me
we
cry.
take for granted.
So it
When you
is.
open your door today, just know
Yes.
that not everybody have a door.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That's so. You had to go there.
I had to go there because that's what Bloom Again does.
Yes.
Now, what is Bloom Again doing right now while we're even talking about this? Bloom Again, for the first time, is hosting a women's career conference.
Yes.
And the proceeds from this conference will support Bloom Again mission, helping the women in need. Right?
That's right.
So this is the first time, and Lois is actually Dr. Lois Franco is actually kind of the main host of the event. It's going to be on October 28th, as you said.
Yes.
It's a Saturday, which is unusual for a career conference.
Well, I mean, Bloom Again is doing unusual work.
Right. So, and the reason is we want to attract entry level women, mid-level management women.
Yes.
So women on the way up. Those are the women that we have kind of fashioned this conference for. How do we help them move up? And this kind of came about when we see the population we're helping. When Bloom Again first started, we really were helping the people working at the fast food restaurants.
Okay.
But then one day out the blue, I decided to see where these people are working that we're helping. And they're working for companies. They're working for corporations. But they're at entry level, which means they're still making no money.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So it's like, well, what can we do to help them be better so that they don't even qualify for our help in the future? Right?
Yes.
So anyway, this conference is going to help with that, and I'm so excited that we're doing it. I keep saying we, right? Because I forever Bloom Again. But some of the topics that will be a part of the conference. The power of pink, negotiate better outcomes at home and at work.
That's right.
The speaker for that is Carol Follinger. Dress like a woman, get paid like boys.
I love that title.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Yes. KL Moore will be the speaker for that one.
Oh, I love KL. Shout out to KL Moore.
Yes. So she's a part of this. Leadership is a woman's art. And Dr. Lois Franco will be doing that one.
Can we just shout Dr. Lois Frankel out for a moment?
Yes.
She's again, I have to get her back on the show as well. She's outstanding, but yes.
Yeah. Managing your money on a limited income. Because again, remember the population we're serving here.
Right.
Wells Fargo is sending some people to talk about that, which is really cool that they've partnered with us. And my topic, I'm so excited about this one. Well, I'll leave mine for the last so I can tell you more about it. Invest Like a Girl, 5 Easy Steps. This is Diane Manuel and Renee Norris from Urban Wealth Management. So I can shout them out too.
Shout out to Renee Norris. Yes.
Job Search 2.0, how to access the hidden job market and get the job you want. Stacey Gordon will be the speaker.
Stacey's amazing.
Investing.
The hidden job market.
Yes.
Yeah.
Investing after 50, how to avoid the most common mistakes. Diane Rankin
Yes.
will be doing that one. Rediscovering Your Passion, Rachel Carew. I don't know
Okay.
Rachel. Reinventing Your Career, Pamela Mitchell. What keeps you from pulling the trigger on your next chapter?
Oh,
Denise Kerwin.
wow.
That's a good question.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so my topic.
Drum roll.
Yes, drum roll. I am facilitating a panel discussion, and it is Women of Color Cracking the Corporate Code.
Boom! I
Yes.
love it.
So I have an executive vice president from Grand Point Bank,
Okay.
a director over an operations group. She's with Union Bank.
Okay.
Executive director at a nursing home.
Wow.
And who's my fourth person? Why am I? Okay, wait a minute. It's Sarah, Annette, Margarita. Oh, an attorney,
Okay.
a Latina, and it's diverse. So I have an African American, an Asian, Mid Easterner,
Yes.
and a Latina. And the Latina is a partner at a law firm.
Lovely. That's
So
powerful.
can you imagine this panel discussion? I'm so
Well,
excited.
yes, that's
I
and it's so
am.
needed. I mean, I love that all of the subject matters that will be tackled at the conference. It's really it's from A to Z
It is,
almost, you
yes.
know. And I really appreciate that. I think that that's something that will equip women, as you say, that are still in the nascent stages of their careers, to equip them with those tools that they need to move forward, so
Yes.
that you know, they wouldn't qualify for.
Or the ones that
for
did make it to middle level but haven't, made it to that highest level yet.
Right.
We were talking about my vice president title before. When I left banking 7 years ago, I had actually progressed to a senior vice president level at two banks. So at City National Bank, I was
Yes.
SVP, and then I went to Union Bank and was SVP there. And I share that because that's a huge deal. Is a
Yes,
huge
it
deal. When
is.
that happened for me at City National, you could count on two hands the number of SVP Black women. So I was
That's
like,
probably true
I
now,
was like
but
1 of 10. Yeah, so I don't think it's moved. I don't think that needle's moved much. But one of the ladies on my panel, who's a dear friend, Annette Isaacs at Grand Point Bank, she's executive vice president. She just got her EVP title.
wow.
So that is huge. Yeah. So, but we want to encourage women to take that leap, to go for it,
Yes.
Yeah.
How do we, I'm thinking about with the SVP, roles that you've had with these huge companies, how do we begin to train those women coming up behind us so that when we decide to leave that position or just move on to do bigger and better things with our careers, that we don't leave a void
Yes.
where someone has to start again as a teller, and then we're
Right.
and there there are years that pass. How do we have a pool of people that are ready?
Melanie, I think exposure is the key. We have to show the women the way. We have to grab a hold of their hand. We cannot assume that they're watching us, because what they see is us at that level. They don't see the struggle.
They don't see the
They
struggle.
don't see the journey. They see you're an SVP, right? And they don't
And it just
know.
that just happened.
Yeah,
magically.
it's like you went in the refrigerator and there was food,
Presto.
right? Yeah. So I think we have to be more intentional and conscious about it. And I think identifying young women with that potential, and this is not just race. To me, it's gender.
Yes, absolutely.
And because I didn't mention earlier, when I got my first mentor, my boss was a white woman. The man was a white man.
Yes.
And the person who formerly mentored me was a white woman. Know why? There was no black people up there. There was no one there. But now I am, so, and we have to, once you get to that level, you have to identify someone else. You have to identify.
Yes.
And I mentor several people, and sometimes I'm in a truly formal mentoring relationship. But one of my requirements, I won't mentor you if you're not mentoring someone.
That's powerful.
I won't. That's a
So
part of the arrangement.
You're making sure that the person that you are assisting, that they're paying it forward.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think that should be a necessary requirement.
Yes.
Say that again.
Yes.
For those
Yes.
mentors out there, make sure that your mentees are paying it forward,
Yes.
and that they're also pulling someone up alongside them, behind them, just pushing them forward.
Absolutely. It's necessary. And I think that's what we have to do, and we have to be conscious and intentional about it. We cannot make assumptions that, the people are watching, they'll figure it out.
Right.
No, that's not how it works. So.
Unfortunately, yeah. When I think about, I know you've seen this, and I don't mean to get off track, but there's this huge news story with Harvey Weinstein, where he has allegedly,
Yes.
the stories are just wild, so I don't even get into them. But it was interesting. I was watching something, and Whoopi Goldberg talked about women making decisions. And that they have to, there may come a time where, you're approached in your career and you have to decide, what you're going to do. Like, I'm going to take this path, or, I may go left and, do this.
Right.
And one of the things that, I can't remember if she said it, but there was another woman that was speaking on the panel, and she said that, women will support, like, tell another woman, and women will support you. Women will just rally around you. And I thought, that hasn't been.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's true. But have you encountered anything like that in your career with, we're not getting into harassment, but just where women are not supporting one another? Because I wonder sometimes if that's why there's a void.
There is a void there. And yes, I experience it more than I even want to acknowledge, because I've experienced it with very close friends, which I just do not understand. As an entrepreneur, I've been an independent consultant for 7 years, and
Yes.
I've felt that there were people in position at companies that could have helped me
Yes.
launch my independent consulting, or helped me get contracts or opportunities, and it didn't happen. It wasn't there. So it's nice to think that that's where we are as women.
Right.
It's not. We're not there. And we need to be there. So we need to, this is another thing to be conscious about, be intentional about. And it's almost that pie thing. If I give you a piece of the pie, I won't have enough pie.
Yes.
We can't think that way. And I'm actually reading a book. It's called Never Eat Alone, and I apologize, I don't know the author's name.
Keith Ferrazzi.
Yes.
I love that book.
I'm just starting it, but I can almost not put it
You
down.
can't put it down.
Yeah, but it talks about relationships.
Yes.
And the more you put out there, the more comes back to you. And that has certainly been the story of my life. You talk about all the stuff I do and how I give and connect. It comes back. It comes back, and it comes back in ways. What I had to stop doing was looking for it to come back in the way that I gave it. Right? Because the people I'm looking at and saying, well, why aren't you helping me? I helped you. But that's not what's going to happen.
Right.
But that was a lesson I had to learn. But it does come back, and I think we have to trust that, and we have to walk in that. And I challenge all of us to do that a lot more.
Yes.
And again, and you mentioned earlier, I've mentored men and women.
Yes.
And I do. I'm not just about women. I'm not just about race. I'm about putting good out into the world and letting good come back to me.
Yes.
And if we can all just think that way, we would be so much better off.
We would. That's I've experienced that in my career. I think about, early mentors that I've had, and sadly, I haven't had, I want to say, Eleanor, you're one of the first, Black women that I've had that's, just taken me on and really helped to just be in an ear, just so that I can, discuss things and kind of process, something that I may be faced with. but it's always been, for the most part, white women, because I've been in positions where I was the only one,
Right.
and or a white male counterpart,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much been the story of my career. And I've I've always tried to mentor young people. Even today, I will go out and speak to different schools and just tell them that success, there isn't a straight path.
Not at all.
There's just there's so many ways that you can get things done, and just because you see someone doing something where, they've done A, B, and C, and 1, 2, 3, doesn't mean that has to necessarily be your path. You can really craft something that is a perfect key in a lock for you, just a perfect fit.
Right. Another thing along those lines, I just had a conversation with, I call them my village daughters, my friends' children. But I had a conversation just last night because she's she has a job. I won't say she has a career. She has a job, and she's making decent money. But it's not her passion. It's not what she wants to do. And it's like, okay, well, now's a good time, go follow your passion.
Yes.
And she says, but I'm not going to make the money I'm making now. And it's like, well, sometimes we have to step back so that we can move forward.
That's right.
We do, and
some of us are afraid, though, to take a step back. Sometimes you have to take 1 or 2 steps back.
You do.
To take 10 steps forward.
Yes. And I don't know that I'm taking a step back, but, becoming an independent consultant, I guess it was, well, financially, it was a step back, but professionally, I'm meeting more people. I'm doing more things. I have more freedom. I can, work on the projects I want to work on, but I'm not making the money I was making in corporate, but that's a trade-off.
Right.
So I think you have to, think about that, but in the long run, what are you going to be excited to get up every day and do? Because I was going to a corporate job and getting a headache on the way home and crying, going in the morning. So it was like, this is my life passing. This is how I'm living my life.
Right.
I don't want to live my life like this.
You have to stop and reassess. Course correct.
Yes, course correct. Course correction. Yes, you don't get these years back. You don't get to do this later. This is it. This is your life passing.
I have a cousin that says, this is not a dress rehearsal.
Yes. Yeah.
Talking about life. Like, this is not a dress rehearsal. So whatever it is that you want to do while you are here, do it.
Do it.
You better get off of your butt and make it happen.
Yeah. Whatever you're passionate about gets you excited, that it won't feel like work. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned the book Never Eat Alone. I can't remember how I came across Keith Ferrazzi, but he has another book that's Who's Got Your Back.
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen that one yet, but you won't put that one down.
Okay.
But yeah, it talks about just navigating, again, whatever your career is, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're working in the corporate, the private sector, nonprofit sector, and just really understanding who are, and it can be a handful of people that will really help to propel your career and just really be the underpinning. You need that core group of support that you need to have those safe spaces where you can just kind of let your hair down and really truly discuss the things that are happening.
You do. there's a term, it's probably not new, but thought partners.
Strategic thought partners.
Yeah.
You need them.
We need them. You really do. They really add a lot.
Eleanor, if we could just clone you.
Yes, Melanie, there are days I want to clone me too, because there's things not getting done that Eleanor should be getting done. I could use a clone.
Yes. I mean, and I know that there are women like you out there, but gosh, they're so difficult to find.
But you know what, Mel? I think we attract them. I fell in love with you. I can't even tell you how I met you, but once I met you, you were mine. You were just mine. And I think we do attract those people, and I
Mhm.
think we should not miss those opportunities looking for something else or looking for it to be something we preconceived that
Yes.
it should be looking
Yes.
like, right? Because I think we're kind of doing that to ourselves, so just be open.
I
Everybody
agree.
you meet, kind of question, why did I meet them? Am I
Hmm.
here for them? Are they here for me? Because everything's not about us. It's
It's
not about
true.
me.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm the giver and I'm going to get nothing, right? And sometimes I'm the
And being
receiver
okay with
and
that.
being okay with that. And the other thing we don't do as women, we don't receive well.
Ooh, talk about
We do
it.
not receive
Talk
well.
about that.
And I've learned so many lessons the last year because my life kind of flipped upside down. But um, someone said to me, you have to receive because when you're blocking someone from giving,
Right.
I'm blocking their blessing, right? They
Indeed.
were purposed to go give, go do this. And like me, I'm a giver. But if you won't receive what I'm trying to give you, you're blocking me.
Absolutely.
So I had to not make this about me and look at it from their perspective. God told them to go do something, and I'm saying, no, you can't do that. Right? I mean, who am I? So I have to be willing to receive. I have
Yes.
to be open so that they can do their assignment.
I think that's a word for so many that are listening today. I share the story often about when I launched my first business many years ago. I was so busy I was looking for opportunities to do business with people that look like me. Oh, it had, like we need to look like one another to do something. And, it wasn't until, there were two gentlemen that had been knocking on my door, and I'd been taking these 3 4 hour meetings, and this was a 15-minute meeting, and I was funded for $1.5 million
Wow.
with two gentlemen that, we had nothing in common
Hmm.
except business.
Okay.
That was it,
Yeah.
just business, and they understood what I was trying to do. But this has been such an incredible conversation, and I knew that it was going to fly by when you came in, but how can people find you? How can they get tickets to the Women's Career Conference on October
Okay.
28th?
Bloom Again Foundation, so bloomagain.org. You can go there and get tickets.
Bloomagain.org.
Or there's another website, www.growyourcareer.org. So that's specifically to the
Growyourcareer.org.
conference. How can you get in touch with me? You can find me on LinkedIn, Eleanor Beasley. I am on Twitter at Eleanor Bees, so without the L-E. And also on Facebook, Eleanor Beasley.
Outstanding. Well, Eleanor, thank you as my friend and just an incredible colleague in the universe. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for sharing your knowledge, and just continued success to you.
Thank you so much, Melanie. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
listening, everybody, and I will see you next week. That hour went by fast. I knew it was going to fly by with you. I didn't even get everything in.
Oh, that was good. It did go fast.